My dumbass friends and I thought it'd be fun to convene with the spirits, pretty much daily one summer. We'd regularly break out a homemade one to see how goofy we could get. Because it gets too hot to do a damn thing outside during that time of year, we had to find things to keep our 14-15-year-old selves entertained in, let's call her, Jennifer's tiny little house in the 90s. Things went from casual and believable, I'm a teenager who died in a house fire, and I'm an old woman who died of natural causes, stuff like that, to disturbing, I have never had a body, but I am able to experience life down here if you say you accept me. For those, we'd always take our hands off and demand a new spirit. After what was essentially auditioning them, the gang and I managed to settle on a rather gentle entity who went by AJ Duke. AJ said we could talk to him pretty much whenever we wanted. He was 8 years old and didn't want to cross over because he liked watching people go about their lives, and he'd been doing this for hundreds of years. Sounded like BS, but whatever. It was a Ouija board, all of it was kind of right. It was all well and good for about a week or so. He would tell us things about other people in the neighborhood in his usual shitty spelling, and it was always hot tea, haha. We were so polite back and forth with the thank you, and you're so adorable. OMG cringe, I know. And we'd occasionally bring AJ up in jokes and casual banter when we weren't playing. He was kinda like a fourth wheel for a few days there. Then it got weird. AJ revealed that our playing was attracting bad spirits onto the property. He said we shouldn't talk as much anymore, but if we asked for him when we started, he would try and take up the space so they couldn't talk to us. We felt so protected by this little dude, corny as it sounds. AJ was always around and game to talk when we sat back down to gab. Soon though, we started noticing the damn thing getting faster and stronger. Our arms would feel pulled this way and that and go to letters faster and with incredibly skillful precision. Increasingly, we'd end up putting the board away because the vibe started to feel super sour in the room. It's gross to say, but the gentle aspect that we liked about this spirit was replaced with wording that was not only better spelled, but sexual and catty in nature. And even though we'd thing away once it got all weird, we'd go right back to it later in the evening or next day. It was a compulsion. One night, Jennifer's older sister stopped by to visit their mom, but decided to hang with us for a while. It was literally the first time she ever did this, and it felt really cool to have someone who was pretty popular in high school kick it with us. When she came into Jennifer's room and saw the Ouija board, she got instantly piqued. We showed her what we usually got up to and she was skeptical at first. She said, I'm gonna go in the hall and hold some fingers up. Let's see if the Ouija board can get it. So she does. And one by one it kept nailing it. You could see the smirk wipe off her face and go into something akin to fear. Then you could see the fear go into a desperate curiosity. She sat down and played with us, getting some gossip about her parents' divorce that we didn't even think to ask about. It didn't take long for the sexual catty stuff to get cranked up. She was looking at us with a face that also felt the air shift. When we did our usual bellyache and hands-off ritual over it, though, she protested. She thought this was when it really gets interesting. And what did that damn thing suggest we do? Not 5 minutes after we decide she might be right. It suggested we hold a seance. Guess what gang went along with it because cool big sis got super excited at the idea? So we did. The board told us to get into a circle and hold hands, then call for a spirit to appear. Mind, the Ouija isn't spelling things out as cleanly. It'd be something like, circle hold hand, invite. And that's the good spelling. Anyway, we do as instructed. Nothing was happening at first in spite of Big Sister's insistence that, if you're there, show us a sign on repeat. Still, our big round eyes would look around at one another. I'm not sure if we were hoping something would happen or if we were waiting for another to call it off. Nobody wants to be the ultimate nerd, though. If we played our cards right, we might can hang with her crew as they smoked cigarettes between classes and generally looked beautiful and badass. If you're there, do something, she commanded. A newspaper clipping taped to my friend's mirror flickered and we all jumped, but she confirmed it was the ceiling fan and said it does that periodically. Phew. There's maybe another minute of Big Sister making demands and I was certain someone was gonna speak up and break the circle. But Big Sis dropped, if you are here, I give you permission to show yourself. Not a moment after she uttered those words did she leap off her feet and scream while pulling her shirt off. "Get off me," she was screaming, and Jennifer immediately hopped up and pulled the cord to turn the light back on. Her big sister threw herself back first into the wall as though smashing an invisible something that was on her. I remember a single stream of spit hanging from her mouth as it hung open for a moment. It was just really odd to see a cool person looking decisively not, but I digress. Terrifying. She spun around and screamed, "What is it?" over and over, and just below her bra strap were 3 scratches, in some places deep enough to draw a bit of blood. We instinctively huddled around her, cloaking her in a protective shield, but had no clue what to do except move that huddle downstairs and into the living room, where her mother was watching TV. She leapt up and took a look at Big Sis back as we frantically explained. "I actually hate that I drew this out, but it literally looked like this, y'all." "That shit," said AJ. "In welt and blood, AJ. Her mom made us burn the damn thing. She kept saying, 'I told you not to mess with it. I told you.'" And in rare fashion, Jennifer didn't utter a word in protest. She just asked advice on the best way to burn it. Strange bonding experience, standing in the backyard at night and watching her mother, usually quite sullen and withdrawn those days, put one arm around Big Sis and use the other to continually douse the doomed board with lighter fluid. I never did get to stand outside with the cool kids. If anything, she pretended not to see us even harder, lol.